So today I'm going to teach you how to make an assessment that you've already created, not through Certica, but that you're uploading a file. Remember, if you're creating an assessment, you always need to use multi-standard. I'm going to create, you can do a pre-test, a post-test, or a quick check. What I'm going to be doing today is a quick check. So I'm at my tracker. I'm actually going to go to assessments, and once it comes up, it'll come up. So here's my assessment. I am going to add an assessment. I don't want to search for one because I've created it myself. So I'm going to add an assessment, and you need to click the subject. Of course, that would be your subject. Make sure your standards are your standards. Select the class that you want to do. I'm going to do 6th grade. And my title, select a standard. Do not select a single standard. You always want to create a multi-standard. Even if you're only using one standard, still create it using a multi-standard. The title is going to be, remember, it's Quick Check Unit 1, or Pre-Test Unit 1, or Post-Test Unit 1. And then if you want to do a description, you can. This is going to be about dividing fractions. And my assessment source. This time, instead of Certica, we're going to upload a file because I've created my test already. And what happens is you will choose a file from either your computer, from a Dropbox if you have it in a Dropbox, but I've saved mine in a Google Drive. So I'm going to choose the file from my Google Drive. And in my Google Drive, it's listed right here. If for some reason it wasn't listed right here, I could go down and search it. But here's my Quick Check Unit 1. I'm selecting that. So once I select my Quick Check Unit 1, I always share with my district. If you want to share with the community, you can share with the community. But I always make it private to my district. Then the question type, mine are multiple choice, but you can have mixed. If you have an open-ended question at the end, you would do mixed, but all of mine are multiple choice. The number of questions, I have 12 on mine. And then, so here you have your 12 questions. You have to put in your standard here. So I have my quick check. I'm going to just toggle back and forth to my quick check. Here's my quick check, and this is it. So if you'll notice, I've always put the standard next to the question so that as I'm making my test, it's very easy to make. And then I have an answer key. This is my quick check answer key. So I can quickly go back and forth into my answer key and make it. So it's going to be D, and the standard is 6NS4B. So when I make it, the standard is NS4B. So I'm going to click on that standard, and it's still multiple choice, and the answer is going to be D, and I want 1 point for that. My next one is A, standard NS4A. So go back to that. NS4A. And then my answer, I think it was A. Let me double check. Yep, A. The next standard is NS3, and that's C. NS3, and that's C. As you can see, I just keep going. So I'm going to pause the video until I'm finished. So I've decided, I've put in all my answers, but I've decided that I really wanted that number 12 to be a constructed response. So I changed it up a bit, and I made it into a rubric criteria because they're going to have to type it in, and it's going to be worth 3 points. If I wanted to make it worth more than 3 points, I could increase it, but I don't. I want it to be worth 3 points. So that 3 point is going to be evaluated into this. Okay, so now that I have put in all of my answers, I am going to, now I have to label my, let's see. I have to label the possible, these are the possible points that they have, and I'm going to label what I want them to be. A distinguished learner, I want them to have all 4. Proficient is going to have 3, and developing is going to have 1. Distinguished, I'm going to have 2. Proficient will be 2 because I don't want them to be considered proficient if they only get 1 right. Developing will be 1. This is going to be 4, 3, 2. I meant that developing to be 2, not 1. And then this is going to be 2. The reason I don't put 1 as proficient here is because if they get 50-50, I don't think 50% is showing proficiency. So I think 50% is still showing developing. If you're not comfortable with 2 being proficient, then you need to add more questions on that. But since it's a quick check, I want it to be really short, and we just have to run into that. So that's a 2 and a 2 and then a 1. And now I'm ready to create my assessment. Click on Create Assessment at the bottom, and it's going to create your assessment. And it says assessment was successfully uploaded. It's being converted for viewing. It takes just a minute. And here we have my assessment that's in the thing. It's in. Now I can add it to my tracker. I'm going to add to tracker, and I want to add it to all of my trackers. So I'm adding to selected, and now we have it. If I'm wanting to, when I want to give the assessment, I would hit assess, and it's going to give me the number. I would put that number on the board and tell the students to go to Mastery Connect /bubble sheet, and they're very familiar with doing that. Now go back to assessments, and I'm going to pull that one back up. If I just created it so it's right there on top, but if you didn't, you could then search it by using or created. So I'm going to go into it, and I'm just going to verify. There's all this, here's all of this. Scoring looks good. Okay, there. Now if I wanted to edit it, I could clone it here. I can bookmark it. I don't need to bookmark it. Or I can edit. See this little button that says edit? So I'm going to edit. And if I needed to edit, then I could just change anything that I needed. But I don't want to change anything. So that is how you create a assessment.